Welcome, BBCers, to episode number 274 of the Broken by Concept podcast, the number one legal educational and motivational podcast. Special guest episode today. We have Ecore. Welcome to the show, Ecore.
Thank you for having me.
So, Ecore, we connected via social media, sort of reached out, and also you sort of gained a lot of popularity for people that don't know. I'll let you sort of explain more about your series, but you learn champions. You play champion for 10 hours, you post a YouTube video, and you've done this for I don't know how many champions now. Do you want to talk a little bit about sort of how this series came about? Yeah.
Okay, so how it started was... Originally, I've been playing Hearthstone. I'd streamed that for like 3 or 4 years before this. I was pretty good, but eventually I just got kind of tired of the game. And then I was looking online at other things people had done, and I saw some 10-hour challenges for other games like Apex, I think, and Overwatch, and maybe there was one other. And I was like, literally nobody's doing this for League, and I've played League for like 10 years, and there are like 100 champions I have never touched. Like I only play bruisers and tanks. So it'd be so fun to try it out. And it's been a mix of fun and frustrating for sure. But no, it definitely took off from there. I posted one video, not really thinking about it, the Garen one, and it got like 400,000 views out of nowhere. I remember my dad texted me because he also follows my YouTube stuff. He's also a gamer. And he was like, "You realize that your Garen video has 200,000 views right now?" And I said, "What?" Because it was on a different account. So I looked, and ever since then, I was like, people like the idea, and I just ran with it. It's been great.
So out of interest, with because this format, right? I've written down the format here. So you play some normal games, you then jump into some ranked, then you kind of watch some educational videos, kind of, or some content, and then you implement that and play some more ranked, right? I mean, that was at least, on one of your recent, I think it was the Java one I watched recently. So this whole format that you follow, is this something that you saw elsewhere in other games, or was it more so you kind of just come up with this by yourself?
It just kind of made sense. Like the first couple of games, the first normal games is literally just like understanding how the champion works. It's the first like 2 or 3 hours. And then after that, depending on how confident I am, sometimes I'll jump right into ranked because like Jarvan, I already knew how to play him a bit because I had played some of him many years ago, back when his E gave armor. But I played him a while ago, so I jumped into ranked with him immediately. But other champions, I'll do the research before ranked. But no, it just seemed like a natural progression, like kind of figure out what the champion does, and then learn how to actually play the champion, and then, play the champion.
Nice. And that's where I want to start, actually. So, Jarvan was your recent video, and I really, really enjoyed how so there's a few things I like about your content, which makes it so refreshing. And as fellow educational content, Nathan and I make a lot of League of Legends content, done so for a long time. We love people that just talk about the details of the game, and you were talking about, the differing builds and the challenges you face with differing builds. You were talking about ability usage. You were talking about some of the challenges you face with going in, getting bursted, going into early, and all these things. Jarvan was a champion that you ended up getting you loved that champion. Now, obviously, Jarvan was a champion you had experience with in the past, and you were really over the moon about it. I'm assuming this isn't always the case. You probably play champions that you don't maybe click with so well, or you don't really enjoy.
And you're spending like a lot of time, you'll spend a lot of time to, 10 hours is a long time. So
no, yeah, I didn't do the math on it, but 10 hours per champion's like, 1,700 hours, which I didn't actually think before I started doing this challenge. I was like, wait. A
lot of people are champ hopping, even just our members, after like maybe like 4 or 5 hours of a champion, right? Like if they hate it. So like you're doing like 10 hours, it's not, So I'm curious to hear the answer here.
Yeah. So like you've done Java. So what are the other champions that have maybe been the champions that you struggled with a little bit more? What are the champions that maybe you thought you would come in, you're going to pop off, you thought you would have a great time, and you get maybe a few hours into it and you're like, okay, here we go. This is going to be a bit of a mission.
I think one of the ones that stuck out the most was Cassante, because I knew he was going to be hard. But like I said, I've played a lot of tanks. Like I used to be a tank Bruiser player. He's a top laner. It's the first lane that I used to hit diamond. I'm like, I'm going into this. I'm ready. And my goodness, I could not figure him out at all. I kept ulting too aggressively and then just immediately getting bursted because like half of your HP is gone. I could never get the angle right to go where I wanted to go. The trades in lane were always I felt like I was doing way more with my passive, and then all of a sudden I'm about to die to, you know, the Mordekaiser who just like pulled me in or whatever. I thought I was winning and then I wasn't. But no, he was frustrating. I actually took some time off stream for sure, like 5 hours that I didn't talk about just so I could figure out what was going on, because I was like, this makes no sense. What am I doing wrong?
So that's the secret. That's the secret in the formula there. There's an additional 5 hours.
5 hours, 15 hours.
Off camera.
Oh.
Okay.
For some champions, the hard ones, I will admit, sometimes I do have to do some others. Like Gangplank, I had to go in the practice tool. I haven't made that, but the video's made. It's about to be posted. But I had to practice his barrel combos and like just general stuff for like an extra hour just so I could do it without embarrassing myself on stream, missing everything. Because that is part of it, right? Like, I am learning, but like I'm also streaming, and if I make the same mistakes over and over again, people might be like, what the heck is this? So I got to do a little bit more, I think, just to so there's a little more progression.
Well, how does your champion selection process work then? So how do you decide what to play? Because Cassante, everyone sort of knows he's quite a low win rate in solo queue, right? Why Cassante? Like, how do you decide? Is it literally like a vote from your community? Like, how do you decide what champion to do?
So I kind of just try to do one role at a time, not to like all the way, but I'll pick one role and probably play 4 to 6 champions so I can get in a rhythm with that role. Because at first I jumped all around, and changing a role and playstyle every 3 or 4 days or whatever it is very hard. So I'll pick a role. Usually the role is picked by the community. I'll have a poll that goes out. And then after that, I'll just pick champions that look interesting. I try to not pick ones that are like pick and banned a lot. Like Mel has been requested a lot, but her ban rate's 27%, which means that to make the content, she's going to be banned a lot. Like, it's going to be very difficult to actually get the games without having to dodge a bunch. So that's also part of it as well, like champions with a lower pick and ban rate, so I can actually play them.
So are you playing all these games on your like diamond level account, or do you typically start off on a lower, like a Smurf account or something like that?
So I've hit diamond, but since doing the challenges, I pretty much only play for content. And the way I say is playing a brand new champion brings my level down by a tier, and then streaming, because I'm trying to like also entertain and talk through everything, brings it down another tier. So I'm pretty solidly mid diamond to low emerald, fluctuating pretty much the entire time now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is now it's my main account, but my main account has gone down to mid to high platinum, I'd say, on average.
So do you stream every single one of those games on Twitch, like live? For that 10 hours?
Most of them, yeah. Sometimes there are issues, right? If a champion is pick or banned a ton and I have to dodge and I just don't have time, I'll play extra games on the weekend so I can get the footage. Yeah, occasionally, this is on me, I'll forget to press the record button, and then I don't like taking it from Twitch because the quality's worse, and then I can't like split the audio the way that I want to. So there's usually one game per champion, probably not that much, but like one game every few champions that I have to also redo. But I would say like 80% of it is all on stream.
So I'm a mid laner. Nathan's you're a jungler. I'm gonna yank the conversation here and ask about a few mid laners here. So you were just saying before, you come from like a Bruiser fighter background, and that's like kind of like your comfort. But you've done a lot of mid laners. You've done Yone, you've done Vex, Fizz, Zed, Cat, Annie, LeBlanc. Now I'm gonna just start asking some questions here. So Yone is a champion that people seem to struggle with a lot. People that I coach, people that I work with, they really struggle with that champion. Maybe less so with the lane phase, probably more so about actually winning the game. What was your experience like with Yone, out of interest?
Yone was interesting because I kind of just eventually just relied on split pushing for quite a while. Like, I could usually out-duel most people unless I fell really far behind. And then all I need to do is, okay, push out the lane, rotate to one big dragon or baron fight, and then it would completely swing once I have 2 or 3 items and 100% crit, and I just one-shot everybody. I played that champion really slow until 3 items. I just kind of like traded a bit, tried to win lane. If that didn't work, just kind of farmed until, you know, you get Blade of the Ruined King, Shield Bow, IE, and you just one-shot everything.
Interesting.
So,
So you actually didn't find it overly difficult for you personally.
no, because I feel like there are more difficult like champions mechanically. I think not too far before that I played
Yep.
Yasuo, and Yasuo was, in my opinion, a lot harder to manage with all of his dashing with minions and stuff. And I was like, Yana, you just kind of dash forward a little bit, and you have this movement speed boost that just allows you to stick on them. It's not as
Okay,
much
interesting.
as some other champions.
I think that also probably has something to do with the fact that you played the game for so long, so you have so much. You have so much game sense and so much intuition that you can maybe rest upon. But what
And now
about?
that I've played so many champions, like I feel like I grab or I get a grip of champions faster now that I've played, almost 100. I kind of pick them up a little bit faster than I did back then. Maybe if he had been one of my first champions, it would have.
Well, that's actually an interesting point. I'll circle back to some of the mid lane champs because that's something that a lot of people asked. Okay, so a common question I get in the community is, okay, Curtis, if you had a year and you wanted to become the best player you could possibly become, and there's two paths, two alternate realities. One reality is that you're only playing that one role, so say it's a mid laner, and you could, just cycle through maybe a bunch of mid lane champions or even OTP, right? That's relatively stock standard, what a lot of people do. Or you could actually spend maybe 2 months playing jungle, 2 months playing top lane, a month playing AD carry, and then the rest of the year playing mid lane. Your experience, you've played a lot of different roles now. You've played all the roles in the game all the time. You're switching duck and dive into all these different roles. What's your analysis in terms of do you find yourself being a net better player since playing a wide variety of roles and really taking this champion seriously? Or do you feel as though it's kind of detracted from your level of play because you're spreading yourself too thin?
Too thin, yeah.
I would say it's actually a mix of both. I genuinely think I have a much better understanding of the game because I understand every role now. I was top, mid, and jungle. I've hit diamond with all three of those roles at this point, and I would say that I have a good understanding of those. So, my broad understanding of the game and what people should be doing and what I should be doing in different game states has definitely improved. But I will also say that I also have bad habits. Like I'll play a mid laner kind of like a top laner and probably split more than I should and not group. Or I'd recently played a bunch of jungles, so I wasn't paying attention to waves as much when I switched back to mid lane. I was just trying to go to the objectives, and then I'd fall way behind in farm. So I think it's a bit of both. Like, if I were to really sit down and 100% focus, it would help. But, on autopilot or on stream, or if I'm not, 100% focused, it's way easier to get distracted with all the things that I've learned from other roles. So, again, it's both, I would say.
I see you, obviously, you're having to play a lot of these games on stream. You're probably talking to a lot of people. People are asking questions. Why are you doing this? Why, what are some things that you've maybe, elements of the game that maybe you've developed a deeper appreciation for in terms of difficulty? Because, because you're playing such a wide variety of champions and roles, you probably understand maybe a little bit better why people are making mistakes. I'm assuming, am I wrong there? You have maybe a little bit more understanding about why mid laners make these mistakes or top laners make these mistakes or junglers
specifically
make these
jungle. I want to talk about a little bit about jungle because a lot of people, from my coaching, my understanding, and my experience, interacting with the community for a long time, people always want to get ganked, right? Spam, come gank my lane. They have a really, a bad understanding of camp. So yeah, is there any specific roles? And sort of, I guess, circling back to the other conversation now I'm thinking about, is there a specific role that you improved at because you played other lanes?
Dude, jungle is so fun and cool and weird. Jungle is because I also spam for ganks when I'm in lane.
Yeah.
But I also know now that I've played a bunch of jungle, he can't do that because he has to finish his camps. But also, you don't need to fully sequence when Dragon's coming up and he's under, there's more in my brain now. But man, I would say jungle is probably the role that has both impacted me the most in other roles and I've learned the most from just in general. I really dove into that, and that I did a stream where I played only Master E until I hit Diamond. I don't know why Master E. Somebody was like, he's easy. And I was like, I don't think he's that. There are definitely comps that destroy him. But they're like, all right, then get a high rank with him. And then I said, okay, fine. And so when I dove into that and I really understood jungle, I think to a pretty good level, seeing how all the other lanes like kind of maneuver and have how they need to like have prio in order to actually do stuff. Like when I was in like plat and I just try to force dragon, it worked a little bit, and then as I climbed up, it stopped working, and I was like, what's going on here? Oh, none of my lanes can actually follow me to do this objective. Let me figure out, like, okay, how do I set this up? Or sometimes just give an objective completely. And yeah, it's helped me, because like when I'm playing mid, bot, or top, if I don't have prio and I don't like force the objective anymore, sometimes I just follow the jungler's pings and be like, okay, he's pinging dragon, but now I'm like, I've got 2.5 waves at my tower. I cannot follow. If I follow this and it goes south, I am out of the game. So I'm just gonna get this and ping danger and hope you listen to me. Yeah, jungle's so cool. It's the glue that holds everything together. It's so far it's been my favorite role to like learn. It's been great.
We always say that jungle's such an odd role.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I get sort of
so weird.
Charlie and Curtis always, it's like a running joke on the goddamn podcast, right? Of like, they have like one view of the game. Like, I'm just like completely opposite like view of the game of this jungle. Like Curtis and Charlie, like, yeah, you know, we're laners, you know, we thing.
No, it is a completely different view.
Yeah.
It's like a mini game within the game of League, right? Because jungle, think about it, it's the only role where you're not laning. And you're playing PvE with camps, and your mindset is so different. You're thinking about completely different things to a lot of laners. And as a result, and because you're not actually interacting with a different champion all the time, your perception of like fighting and trading, everything is just off. It takes a while. And that's why I think, again, Nathan, you've been a big advocate of this, is like junglers that have never played a lane always struggle. Right. Whereas junglers who have maybe played a lane and then come to jungle are typically a little bit better because they have that kind of skirmishing kind of ability that they've taken from
skirmishing, but also they understand when laners are in really bad states. They understand a bit more about what a good and a bad gank is versus if you only play the jungle role, only ever have played the jungle role. A lot of the time, your mindset is like, oh, I'm a jungler, I have to gank, I finish my camps, I just expect the gank to sort of exist or whatever. And as a laner, you sort of have a good idea of like, wait, what's really annoying when I get ganked? Or, you sort of become a better jungler, a better ganker by understanding when you've died to ganks, when it's felt bad.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, one of the things I've learned jungle and being a laner is when I was first starting, I try to gank a lane. I'd do my full clear, I'm in the top side or whatever, and I'm trying to gank, and I'd ping and they wouldn't follow, or they'd follow and it would kind of go bad and they'd lose a bunch of minions. And then when I played top lane again, I was like, wait a minute. I actually don't want my jungler to gank me when I have 2.5 waves at my tower, because I can't help him. I have to get this, or if I do and I miss this wave, or if I die, then I'm going to lose all of this XP and lose a whole tower plating. Like there's situations where a gank might look good if you like just look at the minimap and you don't think about the laner at all, but then you're like, wait a minute. No, I should not gank him. I could just reset and do something somewhere else, because he's not in a position to help you. Or if he's like 100 HP, he can't help. Like it would just be a 1v1 me versus laner or whatever.
So now there are not many people, in my opinion, who make content who are really thinking about the game critically, but also play solo queue regularly, and then have a pretty holistic view of the game. In my opinion, you're one of the few. And often, as a coach, something that we've come to appreciate is that sometimes people that are in these ELO brackets typically have the best, like, I'm not saying, you're not a challenger player, but you're already a very good player being diamond. Sometimes people in this, who are in diamond know sometimes even a little bit more than coaches in terms of what mistakes are currently made at this particular rank. So my question to you, you're playing a lot of games on a wide variety of champions, wide variety of roles. You're fluctuating anywhere between platinum, emerald, diamond. In your opinion, I want to just ask a few questions about these particular tiers. I want to start with platinum. What do you think makes players, what do you think holds people in platinum and prevents them from getting to emerald? What do you think are some of the characteristics of platinum players, would you say?
Platinum is, I think, the first role or the first rank where people actually understand the game to at least a decent level. Like, it's not just Like if you played soccer, like kids huddling around the ball, like they kind of know, like, okay, we got to spread out, we got to start doing things. But there are still times in Platinum where they just mindlessly group to things when they shouldn't, or they don't really know why they are. So there'll be times where I'm like, okay, we should push this wave out, or we have like a massive wave pushing bot. We need to clear this before like trying to do anything. Dragon's not up for 30 seconds or whatever. We don't need to be there immediately. We should push this out because, you know, if we lose the fight, they can push bot and take 2 towers and an inhib. But I can't, you know, I don't have the time to explain this all to my team. I'll just be like pushing bot or whatever. And I think they just mindlessly just go to fights that don't need to happen, or objectives just
They don't say
constantly.
no, right? They're just saying
no.
yes
They
to
don't know how to
everything
say
that's
no,
like,
and it's the most frustrating thing. And as a jungler, when I was climbing with Master Yi, I would like forcefully say, "I'm not doing this dragon. We cannot do this." I'd say no dragon, and then I'd take the enemy's top side, get a wave or two, and just try to farm myself up if the rest of my team was behind. Because I cannot tell you how many times it would be like 5 to 17. Like, we're behind by a lot, but we're a scaling comp. And our team's like, let's fight dragon.
Yeah.
No, no, if we fight dragon, we're going to lose. We're going to fall too far behind, and it's insurmountable. So it just, so like they understand kind of to spread out, but then their bad habits of just grouping mindlessly come out.
And that makes sense, actually, when you think about it, because in the lower elo brackets, you kind of have to group, right? Because if you think about it in silver and things, in silver and gold, there is a lot of grouping. And you kind of, in a weird way, are punished if you don't, because people don't know how to not get engaged upon. But you're right, because Platinum's kind of that bridge where you obviously the macro is not overly sophisticated, but it's starting to, if you can say no and push out that side lane wave, you're instantly differentiating yourself. I would definitely tend to agree with that. What about Emerald?
Emerald, I think, from my experience in there, it is ego and toxicity. It is so bad, and if you don't listen to like a person's call, or and maybe there are other things, but this is the thing that stood out to me when I got to Emerald, is, oh my goodness, people get so angry so fast, myself included sometimes. I'll admit, when I was, again, trying to climb to Diamond once or twice, because you think you're good, and I'm putting myself in this because I've been in Emerald a couple of times. You think you're good, but you are actually so wrong. But you get so frustrated when people call you out, or like they don't do the thing that you want to do, and you really have to just swallow your ego and be like, okay, other people in this elo are kind of good. Maybe they know something I don't. Maybe they understand their lane better than I understand their lane, and maybe I can't do this thing right now, or maybe we should be fighting if they're spam pinging. But also muting pings, because they can also use pings toxically. Emerald is, in my opinion, elo hell. Of all, I've been in all of them up to Diamond, like Iron to Diamond. Emerald is the one where I would just mute all and just not interact with a single human being unless I'm duoing or something.
Yeah, I think Emerald is a very, I mean, I think it's kind of like the gateway, in my opinion, to the high elo tiers. I think Emerald is kind of like, it filters out the people that are willing to actually get into the details and take their gameplay to the next level. And that's why it's so painful, right? Because Emerald objectively is an incredibly impressive rank. So you're right. I do think
good. Like, people there are good, but
they know how to carry some games. Like, you can get like the 10 kills, the 15 games. That's why they have that ego, right? But they don't realize that those games are probably just the easier games to solve, like good team comp, or things just click in the game. They can't problem solve or win those games at all. That like any bit of resistance, bam, they just crumble, and the ego and stuff like that comes into play.
It's kind of like go on.
I was gonna say that it's exactly right, because when I was, again, climbing with Master Yi, when I hit Emerald, I literally hit a wall. Like, I flatlined for a week, and I was probably the angriest I have been playing League in a while. And it was only when I like looked at my replays and went into like the weeds of what I'm actually doing wrong, and seeing littler things. Because the thing, Emerald, all of the really obvious mistakes are gone for the most part. There are still some, but it's like, I probably should have pushed one more wave here specifically to set up for this, or to make sure the wave crashes and it bounces back, or my back timing was a little bit bad here.
Because people are good enough to snowball as well. That's the thing, right?
That's the thing. Yeah, that's how they get those scores. Yeah, they know what it feels like to snowball.
Because people have champion mastery in Emerald, right? You can't get to Emerald without champion mastery. You've got to be very good. People are good. People are good at their champion. They know how to deal damage. They know how to carry it. I feel as though that's the thing. And I think you're pretty bang on there, actually, in the sense that a lot of people know they're good, and that makes it hard for them to kind of, sublimate their ego and be like, you know what? Okay, I know a thing or two, but I probably can learn a thing or two from that guy here. Or maybe I do need to be a little bit more open-minded. And I think Emerald, I always say, is like, if you can get from Emerald to Diamond, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get from Diamond to Master tier. Like, I think that if you have the capacity to get through that elo bracket, you have more than enough capacity to get from Diamond to Master. I think Diamond to Master is easier than Emerald 4 to Diamond 4, right? In my opinion, it's because it's the whole package. It shows that you're willing to get into the details. Like, you've shown the capacity to be able to, review your games, take a look, be a little bit more open-minded, be a little bit more curious. It's kind of like the test, in my opinion, for the ranked ladder. But yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I think Emerald is probably the peak you can get playing casually, right? Like, you have to actually learn other things and go that one step beyond to get past Emerald. But Emerald, I think, is achievable if you just grind out games and learn your one champion, one role well.
Yeah, I think sort of expanding on what you were saying, Curtis, is that the Emerald to Diamond sort of being easier than, being harder than Diamond to Master in terms of more of a mindset shift. I think. Like, the mindset shift is the harder thing, because once you're Diamond, you're sort of like, you're a pretty hardcore League player at that point.
Exactly.
Then it's not really a mindset shift. It's more like, I just actually need to maybe learn some more knowledge or tighten up some aspects, but there needs to be a massive mindset, which is, I think, what you're saying there, Ecore, why there's so much toxicity and stuff in Emerald and people call it Elo Heads, because the mindset is just not there. They think they can keep doing what they got to Emerald to get to, or just think about the game same way, have the same relationship with the game to get to Emerald than compared to get into pushing higher than that.
And that's exactly what it's how I think about low master, by the way. So low master is very similar to Emerald in a weird way. It's a mindset shift. If you're going to push from master to GM, you have to have that mindset shift where it's like, okay, everyone's pretty good here. I've really got to level up my gameplay and start to that's like the way I think about Emerald as well. I want to talk about skills that you feel are heavily underrated. Like, so, what are some things that you've maybe had to level up in your own gameplay that have really made a difference in terms of you having success? You were talking about how some champions that you've had to maybe spend a little bit more time and develop some things. And what are some maybe elements of the game that you think have really bang for buck value? Maybe people out here watching this video, maybe they're in platinum, they're in gold, even in emerald, things that they could develop or maybe think about in their own games that are going to help them on their journey.
I'd say the biggest one pretty easily is how to fight, whether it be, a skirmish or a big team fight. Because like I said, I've only played tanks and bruisers, pretty much just go in. And it wasn't until I actually started playing assassins and control mages and AD carries and supports that I realized there's so many moving parts in a fight, and just going in is not always the answer. You can't just go in most of the time as an AD carry. And if you understand what other people's goals are and what people specifically on your team is, what your AD carry wants to do, and then once you get to a certain point, then you can start thinking about what the enemy team wants to do when they're fighting and how you can stop them from doing that. But I think there's stages. You should think about what you want to do first, and then what helps your team do what they want to do while also accomplishing your goal. And then expanding on top of that, okay, what does my enemy want to do? How can I stop that while also helping my team and myself do what I want to do? Because my goodness, playing especially assassins and just trying to go in for short little bursts, going off cooldowns, and then eventually one-shotting somebody was so much different than just going in as Wukong, my main, for 10 years. You just go in, you ult when you see a big opportunity. If there's a Yasuo on your team, it's even better. There's less thinking when it comes to just tanks and bruisers. So learning how to fight, knowing what everybody wants to do, why they want to do it, I think it's extremely important.
That brings me on to the jungle archetype of assassins then.
Wait. Sorry, one question, one sec before you jump into
go on.
that. If Charlie was here, you would be bringing a tear to his eye. You literally said exactly what Charlie always says on the podcast. Like, just learn how to fight better. Like fighting, League is a fighting game. If you know how to fight well, it will supersede.
It opens up other opportunities for you. Like you wouldn't be able to do this if you can't fight, but if you can fight and you're good at it and you know how to do it, then like some situations that might be a 50-50 on paper, if they don't know how to fight and you do, it's more like a 75-25 all of a sudden. Because you can get that flank or you can...
Right? So many problems. Like you know, this is the thing. Like at the end of the day, right? Like League is simultaneously a game of strategy, but it's a game of fighting. But fighting supersedes strategy. Strategy doesn't supersede fighting. That, you know what I mean? So I absolutely love that. And before we go into your question, Nathan, my quick question relevant to fighting. What's your advice for improving fighting? Because obviously getting in repetitions is a thing, right? Being open-minded and being curious, but like fighting is something some people struggle to improve at. Do you have any like practical advice you could give there? And I'm putting you on the spot here. I know it's not an easy question to answer.
I think the problem is like, because I'm doing what I'm doing specifically, and I've seen so many different fights now from so many different perspectives, like that just allowed me to learn, because I didn't actually go out like wanting to learn how to fight.
Right.
It just kind of happened over time. And now when I play like other, you know, mages or AD carries, my spacing is better than it was before, because I realize how dangerous all these other things are. Like if somebody blows towards my general direction, if I'm an AD carry, I'm probably dead. Right. So I just by playing all these different roles and exposing myself to all of these different things. So I guess my advice is, if they have the time, just play the other roles a little bit. You don't have to do enough to like try to learn the role and get really good, but just kind of understand what the feeling is like and be like, okay, so what should I like kind of do here, or what? Because then if I kind of understand that, okay, I want to be here, I want to wait for these guys to go and whatever. Like it opens your mind to so many more things. I think a lot of it's just like repetition and exposure, because like the jungle laner example, like if a jungler's never laned before, they do not know what lane states are, or they don't know when a gank is good or when they can go for an objective, because they've never been in those shoes. So there's like a cap to what I think you can do unless you've at least tried it a little bit.
Sorry, Nathan, you can get with your question.
Assassins, Ecore. You played. You did 10-hour, I think recently, 10-hour videos on Rengar and Kha'zix. How did you find assassins, specifically junglers?
I loved Kha'zix. I hated Rengar. I think Rengar is just a far more difficult assassin overall.
Execution-wise, like fighting-wise? Yeah, that's right.
Because I don't know if I specifically said this in the video, but like his mobility is conditional. Like you need bushes, you need ferocity to do certain things. So you definitely need
isolation.
That's true, but like if you mess it up, you're not necessarily going to die, right? Like with Rengar, if you go in and you mess up and you're not near a bush, you're kind of, or you mess up your ferocity stacks, you kind of just can get blown up, or you don't blow up your target. With Kha'zix, you'll have, you know, a second ult to go invisible again and reposition if you do happen to mess up. He was way more forgiving, in my opinion. Rengar was way harder in terms of execution. At least that was my experience. I don't know what other people experience with those two.
Yeah, I really recommend Rengar's more of like a one-trick champion for this exact reason. Ecore.
Oh no, I think I said that. I was like, because I think I rated the two at the end of each of the videos, which one I liked more and why. And I was like, Rengar is definitely a champion that I think you can more consistently 1v9 with if you spend like 100 hours to master him and know exactly what to do. Kha'zix is way better of a pick up and play, just kind of a general assassin-y kind of champion.
Did you do any mage junglers, like the Zaras of the world?
I have not done those yet. I've been a little intimidated, but I do have to get to them at some point. But that's one of the ones that I've pushed off for a bit. But I am curious about them, because every time I see them, I'm like, I feel like it can't be good, but then it is good, and I want to know why. So I'm excited to learn that. I've just been a little intimidated up until now.
Talia jungle. Is Talia jungle popular,
Talia.
Nathan, in the jungle academy?
No, it's not top. It's more of a higher elo pick. Like, we swear the difficulty level is like a 9 out of 10 for the guide or whatever it is. It's really high up because you know, a lot of junglers are like no art, like no fighting. Like, especially a lot of the other ones, like Amumu, the Nocturnes of the world, like champions like Vi, stuff like that. You have no combat ult for Talia, right? So it's much more unintuitive for compared to a lot of the other the jungle champions.
Talia's just hard in general. I find Talia hard. She's a mage, but I find Talia so hard. Just
Super
fighting
squishy.
on Talia is just hard.
You don't have a dash. You don't have a dash, right? Like it's crazy.
And so many
you know?
skill
You have to-
shots.
Insane positioning, right? And as a jungler, you have that added extra of like people invading you and killing you, right? So like you can't just stay mid lane to be safe and just wave clear, right? So that's why mages can be a little bit tricky. Yeah, I was curious to see if you did the mages, but I'm really curious to see the mage journey if you do go down that route, Equal. Because
I will
you come down the
probably
bruises.
next time I do jungle, because sometimes I try to theme them. Like when I went top lane most recently with some like juggernaut kind of champions like Mordekaiser. I think I played Volibear and Mundo and like Aatrox, like kind of beefy dudes in a way. I guess for some reason I also played Quinn, which was kind of out of left field, but for the most part I kind of theme like for mid lane right now I'm playing slightly more control mages. My goal is to play Syndra. I recently-ish played Victor, Anivia, Orianna, so I kind of like to theme it a little bit. So when I get to jungle, mage junglers is probably my next jungle theme.
On the topic of mages, you did Annie a while ago. Now I've got my own probably not controversial, but opinions on Annie. Annie, how did you find Annie? Because I think she's a very divisive champion in the community.
So I played her a while ago. I think she was recently like reworked to have pen on her ult and stuff. So she was a little bit different, but I thought she was fine. Like I feel like not too much about her stood out. I didn't feel like when I was playing, and this is part of it since I've played so many champions, like there's a bit of a fun element that I want to like, and she felt fine. Like you get your stun, you have a big ultimate, you get your stun, you Q somebody to set up a gank. Sometimes you can do a flash W or whatever to catch them off guard, but I don't know, you could play relatively safe with decent mana, last it with your Q. I don't know. I was bored with her, but I think that she's pretty basic, and if you get a big ultimate and you know, flash ult or proto belt ult or whatever you're building for whatever reason, like, I don't know. Annie was a very just basic champion all around, with a cool pop-off moment with her ult sometimes.
Yeah. I find her kind of awkward because like she has limited wave clear, and I think a lot of people struggle with Annie.
Oh man.
Like I think she's quite hard, to be honest, to be consistent on her. Like you can have those pop-off moments, but I think just in general, like people find her, I mean, I think she is a hard champion, right? Comparatively to a lot of other mages.
I struggle with champions that cannot wave clear very much.
Yeah.
Like I played Sivir in AD carry, and then I played Vayne, and I was like, holy crap, I cannot clear a single wave with Vayne to save my life. And for the first 5 hours, I just couldn't figure out what to do. I'm like, I'm spending 12 seconds clearing this one not even cannon wave. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So I think that, and with Annie, I think the champion that I played right before or right after her was Malzahar.
Yeah.
And you just, you press E, you drop your little void dudes, and he pushes the wave. So he was still boring, but like I got him more because I was able to just push out waves and do my own thing. But you were 100% right, Annie. Wave management and just pushing out waves. Like if the enemy roams and I need to like push to punish them because I can't follow, very slow little fireball things. You try to W and you can, but no, that wave clear also, and just wave management. Back to a tip that I think other people should learn and is very important. Also very important. If you don't have your wave or you don't know how to push out your wave well, it limits so many of your options.
Now, obviously as well, you stream and people can, League Reddit and the League community is notorious about complaining about the game, saying things are OP, saying this and that is not balanced. Do you feel as though the game is in a good state of balance at the moment? And do you feel as though the game is in a healthy state in general?
I feel like people are gonna be mad at me for saying this, but I think it is. I think, like, generally speaking, most people with most champions can do pretty well if they know what they're doing. Obviously, there's some champions that are sometimes a bit broken for whatever reason. Like right now, playing mid, I cannot figure out how to beat Morgana. I've just started banning her. She just places her pool, clears the whole wave. What's the counterplay? So, my bad, I knocked something over. So there's some champions and certain times where I'm like, okay, this seems a little bit ridiculous. I don't even know what they did to Morgana to let that happen. But for the most part, I would say like 95% of the game in champions are honestly pretty well balanced. From most of the champions that I've played, some do feel like a little bit weaker, I guess, but part of it also comes down to execution. So sometimes the champions that are worse are just harder. Like Gangplank, the video that's coming out in like a couple of days or whatever, he has a lower win rate in low elo, but that doesn't mean he's bad. Like once you actually get his barrel combos down and you actually like kind of start bullying people in lane with your passive and you get the execution down, I think anything can be good and or viable within reason. Like obviously you can't play like Yumi top or whatever, but no, I think if most of the game is pretty well balanced, and now that I've tried so many different champions and so many different roles, I usually feel like I have some agency in some way, unless I'm playing AD carry.
Really? You actually think AD carry you struggle with AD carry, or do you think that's more?
No, I struggle with AD carry. Probably that's more me overall. Yeah. Like that's the one role that I suck at. I own it. Like the same amount of time that I used to hit diamond with the other 3 roles, I peaked like plat 2 or 3 on AD carry, and I was like, I cannot figure this out. Well, but there are other reasons to that. AD carry is also a good role in other ways. There are other things that you can do. You have like a babysitter support. You get the mid lane weight. There's a bunch of stuff that's good about AD carry. I just didn't click with me personally.
I also think you said you like bruisers and stuff. Bruisers going towards AD carry. I think that's probably one of the hardest transitions in the game to playing as like the pure damage, pure squishy positioning, right? Like I would never in a million years play AD carry, or I play the game exactly like you. Tanks, get in the front line, just the transition from melee. We've actually talked about it on the podcast before. The melee to ranged is a bit of a hard transition to people playing. I wanted to ask a question. Oh, sorry, go on. I
was going to say, you guys did an episode on Dante's about this, about he plays Hecarim, he plays a Bruiser, and he struggled with AD carry quite a bit because wasn't he also trying to build like Bruiser items too? Because he's like, Bruiser items are just better. And it was like, he is the perfect way of showing like how you can be extremely good at one thing, but one other thing is so completely opposite that there are just some play styles or champions that you will be a lot worse at, and that's just the way that it is, unless you take a ton of time and like you study why people do certain things and you completely change your mindset.
I want to talk more about community and the generally Legends community, your observations over your years of over the series, and obviously you stream as well. So what are some community narratives, maybe you could just even just one or whatever, that you've seen or you see this comment always pop up on your Twitch chat or your YouTube comments that you're like, this is not real, or this is not what I agree with? Because you're I would say a massive practitioner compared to most of the league community. You actually play, and I'm sure a lot of people backseat game you as well in your chat saying, oh, laugh at you. Like that's the thing about streamers, like people like but this is, I like showing people this is the reality of the gameplay. This is what your game looked like. People in the Twitch chat, let's review your gameplay. Let's look at your VODs. Let's look at the end of review mistakes you're making, right? So, what are some common things that you see that just sort of annoy you in a little bit, I guess?
When people have like one build in mind that they're like, this is the build you always have to go. Like, why the heck are you building this item? Why are you building Leandre's in this situation on this champion? I'm like, because there's 4 champions stacking HP. Like, if I build full burst, I'm not killing anybody. Like, I know it's not optimal, but in like, 20% of games, I'll have to deviate and do this thing or whatever. Sometimes I'm just trying out a new build because I'm learning the champion. I'll see a different build online that I was like, hey, actually there seems like there could be some validity to that. I'm going to try it for a couple of games. And people are like, no, you have to go this build. You have to do this specific thing. Like Sindra right now, I just finished a thing of her. So many people said you have to go Blackfire Torch Cosmic Drive. And I understand that build is objectively quite good. and especially like higher elo when you can actually utilize the ability haste and the mobility. But the burst build, especially when people don't pick tanks, is just so much better. Like, it's not all black and white. There are things that you can do, and you could kind of go a mix of the builds if you want to. Or I was like, you know what? If you want me to have a ton of ability haste, maybe I'll try Horizon Focus because it gives 25 and a lot of AP. It's the best of both worlds. And I ended up winning my last 3 games on Syndra using that build. So I think the most annoying thing is people just being like, you have to do this thing. Why aren't you doing this one specific thing? Because
People
they don't
lose their mind on builds, don't they?
It's true.
It's great. It's like
people
it's
live
like
and die. They live and die by it. It's like, look at the gameplay, guys. The build
you know,
that extra optimizing the extra bit of a couple hundred damage. You've missed 3 abilities. That doesn't even matter, you know.
But you know why? It's because it's the thing that everyone can talk about regardless of
That's
rank.
right.
It's the thing that we all have in common. No matter if you're in bronze or you're in challenger, you all have the same amount of gold, and you have to, you can all buy that item. And I feel as though like it's so overdone. It's so overdone. And like, especially mages right now, you can put everything. You look at champions like Syndra and Orianna. Use Orianna example. Orianna has like, you look at like 6 different pros. 6 different pros are building something different. You got like Luden, Shadowflame, BFT, Cosmic. You got Seraphs into Horizon Focus. There's like 7 different builds, and they're all fine. And the moment that you start to say, you know what, I just prefer this. Like, I actually love what you said before with Syndra build with the Ludens. Like, I'm assuming you're in Luden Shadowflame or something like that, right? Like I love that because it's like, okay, well, sure, I'm not going to be able to shred tanks. I'm not going to be able to handle certain scenarios, but what I'm good at, I'll be very, very good at. And maybe that's your skill set. That's the way
it was
you
just my
interpret
personal
Syndra.
preference, and people were so mad that I was building towards my personal preference and waiting in a bush, setting up 1 or 2 balls, and the enemy mid laner, AD carrier, someone comes to catch the wave, and I instantly pop them, and then we're able to just do dragon for free. Like, it fit what I wanted to do extremely well, and people were so angry about me not building the items that were like, these are the items that are most built.
Yeah.
And then another thing about high elo is I do think that like some high elo builds, or somebody be like, oh, I saw so-and-so use this. I think that the game of like Masters Plus and Emerald and below, Diamond's kind of a middle ground from the little bit of experience I've had in there, are 2 completely different games. So like, again, a lot of people when I was playing Victor, like you need to go like Rod of Ages because it was popular at the time of me doing it because they saw a lot of pro players building it. But like the whole point of Rod of Ages is it gives you so much consistency with mana and health, and it gives you a free level, which is an extra skill point. So they can utilize it a lot better in higher elo or pro play, because that was another thing. They said, oh, they've been building this in pro play or whatever. But in lower ranks, the burn build is definitely better because you just have to deal damage and kind of pop off a little bit. Like the Rod of Ages build, the consistency doesn't matter as much as just fighting and killing the enemy, if that makes sense. So I think that builds can also differ a little bit, because you said it's all the same. Like anybody can talk about it, but I do think that builds are a bit different from rank to rank to some extent.
Yeah, anyone can talk about it, but I totally agree with you though that builds are, there is an optimal build for, I mean, not an optimal build, that's not the right way. It's important to understand that you're spot on. A build that works in Challenger may not be optimal in Silver because the games are going to play out completely different. The lane phases are going to play out completely different. People always say, oh, I saw Dopa build this on Orianna or X this on TF. And it's like, okay, well, let's take a look at your games. Are your games playing this fast? And even servers, right? Korea versus NA, right? EU versus China. They play out completely differently. Watching Mango Fish on Fizz and what he builds, maybe not optimal in NA because the games are going to be slower. You're not going to be bullied as much junglers, maybe not be as active. Like, this is the thing as well. Like, there's so much room for interpretation and personal preference that, like, yeah, people need to just calm down, and there's many viable options. Were there any, like, I was also going to say, were there any other things that the community...
Yeah, anything else, any other things pops up, narratives. We love breaking down narratives in the Broken by Concept podcast, Ecore.
There's sometimes when I play champions and other roles, like just doing off meta stuff, because I've played, like I said, I've played at this point a lot of different champions, a lot of different roles, and when I was playing Quinn and I played her top, I was like, you know what? What if I played her mid? She can kind of be kind of like an assassin in the mid lane against a lot of squishy mages. You get your ult, it's way easy to roam to both lanes. And everybody was like, why the heck are you playing Quinn mid? Just doing like an off meta thing, even though to me it felt good for whatever reason. And, again, it might not always be optimal, but just, I guess it combines with the whole item thing. People have this one set thing that they think the game should do this one thing. Like, oh, I watched this video about Quinn top, which means she has to be played top and only top or whatever. And so people are just a very rigid mindset, I guess. So when I try to do kind of different things, I was talking about items, but also roles, it can be frustrating to people, and then they'll type in chat, and then I'll get frustrated at them, like, just let me play my game. I thought that she'd be good mid, so I played her mid the past 3 or 4 games, and I've won all of them. So I'm gonna keep doing it for now. I mean, again, it might not be optimal, but it's fitting what I'm doing. So I think, yeah, just rigidity of mindset, something like that. There's a word, but they're just so non-flexible.
Yeah, narrow-minded. Yeah, and just staying in their lane. And I wanted to ask, as a fellow content creator, you put a lot of energy into your content, and oftentimes you want a certain reaction, or you're trying to get across a certain message. And I wanted to ask about, like, what are you trying to achieve with your content? For someone who watches your content, what are you hoping that person walks away from your videos with? What's the impression? What are the messages? What would you like someone to walk away after watching one of your videos?
I like to consider myself kind of I want to say like an average Joe League of Legends player, right? I'm not, okay, sure, Diamond is pretty good, but I'm not, a challenger, masters, grandmaster player. Like, I'm going to be making mistakes that, a gold player will make sometimes still, right? Like, I want to just try to give a kind of accurate like journey of what learning the champion would probably be like for somebody wanting to pick up the champion, right? Because I'm sure that like Pobelter learned AD carry recently, and his journey learning AD carry would be way different than mine and like 99% of other people just picking up that role for the first time, because he is so good and he's played some AD carry champions in the mid lane depending on like the meta, like Tristana, Lucian, or whatever. So like I watched his video where he talked about it a bunch, and I was like, oh, this is really good insight. And I think that I was able to grasp it a bit because I consider myself to be a pretty good player. But I also think that I think it's nice to just have somebody who's not super great detail their experience, because people can also learn from that as well. Like, a silver player would be able to see what I'm doing and see the silly mistakes that I make. Like, I mess up a barrel combo and I die because of it on Gangplank, and it's kind of ridiculous. Like, they can learn from that and be like, okay, so if I do this mistake, it's okay. Like, it's the learning process. I'm not going to be a challenger level player immediately, or they're not watching, and that's not what I want them to expect when they watch me. I just, an accurate representation of what learning the champion would probably be like in a kind of fun way with a bit of education in there, because I have like usually somewhere between 5 and 10 tips scattered throughout the video of things that I've specifically learned. And that's my kind of like higher elo mindset that goes in there. And then the rest is just a average journey of a League of Legends player.
Yeah, so this is an interesting question here. How do I say this? People can like learn a champion, and you can like learn a champion. Do you feel like this burden or this pressure to like figure it out really quickly? Or you just like, I'm just going to do the 10 hours and it is what it is?
I feel a bit of pressure sometimes, because sometimes there'll be like a certain mechanic that everybody asks me, like, oh, why don't you do like this reset, or why don't you do this like animation cancel, or this specific thing, or this barrel combo, or whatever. And then I'll feel a little bit pressured to like in between games look it up and try to do it, and then I'll probably mess it up and it's a bit of a disaster. But I think I've tried to not be pressured that much. I mean, I still obviously do it sometimes when I'm getting a bunch of chat and I'm reading it, and maybe I just lost a couple games in a row, so I'm already in a bad mood and it affects me. But for the most part, I try to not feel that pressure and just learn the champion as I go at my own pace. And You know, if I want to play the champion a little bit slower than they probably should be played, then I can find other ways of using the champion's strengths at other stages of the game. I don't need to do this specific thing or play this lane aggressively because somebody in chat told me to, like, whatever. They'll be like, oh, you always win this lane, which also might just not be true because it's just a random Twitch chatter. Like, they could just be wrong. But no, I think just I've learned over time to just try to play my own game and take their, like, if they say something, I'll look it up a little bit and see if there's validity to it, or if it looks interesting to me personally and I think it could help my learning experience, I'll do it. But if it's just a weird little like mechanic or little thing, or I don't pay as much attention to it anymore.
Do you think
so?
that,
Talking about
Sorry,
I want to talk a little bit about your process then, like of like you know, you said that you feel some sort of like pressure. So I assume you've evolved your process of learning champions. Do you think you've gotten better at learning champions over this course of all these videos?
I would say that
What-
I've
what have
gotten
you
better
improved
at
on?
learning champions. I've definitely improved on just like fighting, like knowing what I'm supposed to do with certain champions. More like fundamental mistakes I'm not making quite as much. Like, okay, I'm a mage. I should probably not walk up in front of my tanks just to try to like get my Syndra stun off, for example. Now I know, like, okay, I need to like look for a pick or stay behind people at all times. I'm not the engage. Even though I have a stun and I have a tool, I am not the engage, and I just need to like learn that, which seems obvious on paper. But again, I played tanks and bruisers for like 10 years. So just understanding what each champion and each role kind of wants to do makes it easier to learn a champion, because I don't have to think like, okay, so what is my role exactly? What do I have to do? Because I kind of know that. So like in terms of the mental stack of like the 30 things I have to learn, there's like 3 or 4 now that just, okay, I'm playing a mage, I'm playing mid, I kind of know what I want to do. I can move those aside a bit, and I can focus on slightly more nitty-gritty stuff.
So the first thing that you like to focus on when you're learning a champion is like, I want to figure out how to fight with the champion. That's the first thing that you go towards.
Yeah, and I guess like figure out their role, not just in fighting, but just like in general. Like what is it that my champion wants to do? Do I want to control space? Do I want to engage? Do I want to DPS? Do I want to like control objectives? Like with the Nunu, I was like, wait a minute, why am I not just going for every objective with my Q smite? Like nobody can outsmite me, so I can shift based on what my champion wants to do, and it gives me some direction, and then I can figure out the mechanics and stuff as I go.
do you think that you're ever going to try and make the push to Master Tier?
I thought about that when I was playing Master Yi. The initial idea was Master Yi to Masters because I thought it had a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
But it was just taking a while, and I wanted to finish my 10-hour series. Like, it's something I really want to do. I'm really excited about. But I have thought about what I want to do after, and pushing to Masters with at least like one role, probably jungle, maybe top lane. Those are the 2 that I enjoy the most. Would definitely be fun. My content brain is like, how can I make it into like good content that people would want to watch? Like just gameplay stuff, it's a little bit boring.
You can get very grindy.
Like, how could I do it in a way that could also be fun? But if I make it fun, then that kind of takes out the whole I'm grinding to Masters part at the same time. So it's hard to have both. So it's definitely something that I do want to do. I just don't know how exactly to like fit it into content.
So what's next? So I know, you know, the whole thing, right, is that you're a Viego player, right? And you want to learn.
Well, I've not played a single game of Viego in my life.
Right. Oh, okay. That's just kind of like a meme, right?
No, yeah, well, when I started doing this, I was like, what's a champion that plays all the champions? It was like Silas and Viego, but Viego literally takes over that champion. I thought that would be a really cool final video. Now that I've played every single champion in the game, now I'm going to learn the champion that can become every champion. Like I will have already mastered him because I know all the other champions. It'll be easy. But yeah.
So what happens next? So you'll do Viego as your last video, I'm assuming. So Viego will be it, and then you have all the champions done. What happens then?
I have a couple of ideas. Some other like little challenge things, maybe some off meta stuff for fun, but I do want to grind once. I do want to try to hit Masters once. I think it would be fun. Because I mean, like I said, I've hit diamond with 3 different roles. I know that I could do it. My most recent one with jungle, I hit it with like a 61% win rate or something. I was very impressed with how well I climbed, but I don't know, something is just a little intimidating about going for that. But once I do this whole challenge, I think that I'll just be so excited, and I will have learned so much that I will want to test how good I've become. Like I'll want to try, as opposed to right now where I hit diamond. I thought I was good enough, and I was like, okay, because that was one of the things I had always told myself when I played Hearthstone. I was like, if I ever hit diamond in League, I'll start making League content because I'm like at least pretty good. So that's what I did, and then that's what started the whole playing every champion thing. But I do want to go. I do want to go beyond. I do have other like little ideas, but grinding once would be so fun.
Nathan, maybe you could be coaching Eric to master tier on jungle.
Ready, Eric? Ready to do some reviews, some quick ender reviews?
I'm ready.
We'll get into the details.
I'm ready for you to tell me how bad I am, all the little mistakes, and then I can work on them.
I will say, getting someone with your mindset, Ecore, and getting from Diamond, master with the amount of experience, I'm very confident. I think it's there's just a couple of things we just need to polish up. Just a couple of concepts. We've gotten so many people in the Jungle Academy from Diamond to master. It's probably I always say it's like easier to get someone from Diamond to master than it is sometimes other ranks, like literally going from like, silver, gold. I think Curtis used to have somewhat of the same experience with certain type of archetypes of like
certain players.
Yeah. And I think Ecore really would be a good one for that.
As long as they know how to fight. If they know how to fight, for the most part, that solves a lot of the problems. Because then we can just tighten up all the other details.
I wanted to ask about what surprised you about doing this content series. What's the key learnings, I guess? This could be like generally about the game, like about learning about yourself, like,
the first one is how long it is. Like I said, I did not do the math on this challenge before starting it. And someone said, like, I did the math and it's going to take you like almost 2,000 hours because I just told them that like sometimes I make mistakes and I forget to edit or whatever. And I went, what?
And there's more champs coming out.
And there are more champs coming out. And they're like, what do you do if a champion you've already done gets reworked? And I said, I hadn't even thought of that. Like, what if they rework,
You're going to be like endlessly on. You're like,
it's like a rat wheel.
But no, that was probably one of the things that surprised me the most. But I guess in learning, one of the things that surprised me is the fact that like I feel like I'm not playing as well as I know that I can be, because when I have to like, you guys have your pyramid thing, right? And there's one of them is like champion mastery, and that's either the bottom one or it's one of the lower ones. And I feel like every time I play a new champion, even though I know stuff from like other ones, it gets bottlenecked because I have to like learn the champion mastery. So it gets a little bit frustrating because I know I could be playing better, but I'm literally held back because I don't know how to do something with a certain champion. Like, can I kill them here? I don't know. So sometimes I'll go for it in limit tests. Sometimes I'll chicken out. And so I'd say that's something that surprised me a bit is the feeling of playing worse than I know that I can, and it can be a little bit frustrating. And also if I mess up, then like chat will say something which feels even worse. Also streaming, I didn't realize how much that would affect how well I play, not just because of like what they say and it gets under my skin, but literally just trying to talk through everything. Like when I try to do challenges, like again with the Master E, the last like Emerald 2 to Diamond, I had to do off stream because I couldn't focus enough on like trying to be as good as possible and hit Diamond. And well, okay, I did hit Diamond on stream. I hit Emerald 1 with like 60 LP, and I was gonna make the final push on stream. But no, I had to do like Emerald 2 and most of Emerald 1 off stream because it's so hard to focus and talk and try to say what I'm thinking so I can, and also do it in a way that's like kind of explaining to chat if they're, a lower level, like, why am I doing this? Why am I going for this invade? Why am I pinging danger on dragon? And I'll be like, oh, because our bot lane just backed and our mid lane has 50% HP and no mana. So like, I can't do this. I'm going over here. And just like little things like that, and always having to talk or feeling like I always have to talk has definitely brought down my skill a little bit, which is fine. Cause again, I like learning the new champions, and my whole goal is to kind of be like the average Joe learning these champions, but like internally it's still a little bit frustrating, I guess.
All right. Well, that's all my questions, Curtis, unless there's any other topics or anything you wanted to cover.
No, we covered a lot of questions. Did you have were there any other things that you would like to discuss today, Eric? Or?
Anything you wanted to ask us, Ecore, as you still listen to the podcast, for a while?
And I mean, I just wanted to talk to you guys because you guys have such a positive, like educational, optimistic view on League. And that's something that I try to have. And I've listened to you guys to try to learn certain concepts. And sometimes I'll be frustrated about a certain thing and you guys will have a video on it and you guys will just like chat about it. And I'm like, it is no big deal. Like, why am I so worked up about this when these guys are just vibing, talking about whatever topic it is?
Yeah. I personally, like, yes, okay, I definitely think you could say that we're positive, or just talking for myself. I like to think I'm a realist of League of Legends. I like to get to the truth. Like, I'm just talking about, but that's just viewed as overly positive because I'm just saying, like, this is what it is. This is why everyone's losing games. This is what's going on in your games. This is what the game's about. I feel like sometimes I feel uncomfortable when people say it's like, we're like the positive guys or whatever. It's like, I'm just a coach. I'm brutal. I end reviews like into the details. I'm like saying, oh, happy chappy, yeah, we can just all keep making these mistakes, So, yeah, that's my thoughts on people calling us, the whole positive guys.
It's all
but
relative,
yeah, I mean,
right?
I do think we have a look. Yeah, it is relevant.
It's like relative to all the shit in the League
So
community.
everybody's so angry that just like saying things how it is positive, when really it's just neutral.
Yeah.
You're
Just
like,
saying,
objectively stating.
It's just taking accountability for one game. Like, I lost my team to the game, my team. That's like considered positive. Like, that's like, oh, this guy's like a good mental or whatever it is. It's like, dude, that's just reality.
And there's a few things you can learn from this loss, and like people think that's like, over.
You're like a wise sage. You're like a wise sage or whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, no, I would say we're definitely not negative, and maybe we are a little positive, but like I think I tend to agree with Nathan there. It's like, I don't think we made the podcast with the intention to be like happy, chappy, positive. We
Not
just
at
love
all.
the game of League. We think it's a beautiful game. And we think that people can have such a blast playing this game as long as they understand what it's really about. I think that's fundamentally what the podcast is, trying to help people develop a healthier relationship with the game by understanding what it actually is they're playing. Right. And as you know, League's so hard. League
is so hard.
Such a hard game. And the more you play, the more you realize how hard the game is.
Mm-hmm. No, it's great. It is a great game. As much as I hate to say it sometimes, no, it's a great game. There's so much depth. You can always get better at certain things. It's pretty cool. I do love talking about it too.
Yeah, and it's amazing to talk about. It's infinitely deep, and I think that's something that I think even surprised me and Nathan. Like, how many episodes? We're like 200 and something episodes, 270 episodes deep.
274. Yep.
And it feels like we're still scraping the surface. We're still learning things every day.
We've got a lot to do.
Yep. And there's a lot of work to be done. But thanks for coming on today, Eric. I really love your content. I think that you're doing a really great job in the community, and seeing people like you make high quality content with passion, with energy. You're a practitioner, not a theorist. It's a breath of fresh air, man. So it's an absolute pleasure.
That actually brought up one last question when you brought up content, is I want to ask you guys what you guys think about the content like landscape of League of Legends. Because I remember back when it would be like, there would be Magikarp used flying his perfect guy or actual champion spotlight, like video game dunk. Like there always used to be cool content, and I feel like you guys are great and it's good educational. I think there is some great educational content out there, and I think there's good high level gameplay. But I feel like something like the liveliness, for the most part, in a lot of League creation has gone away a little bit. Like, there's still some. Like I watch Pienta quite a bit. I don't know if you guys watch him. He does
he's an
off-meta stuff.
person. I think he's from Australia. I think he is, right?
Yeah, and he did his Teemo challenge, and he just seems like a fun, chill dude. But you guys, just like the atmosphere that you guys have is so positive and lively, even when you just talk about stuff. And I feel like that's something that's missing in the last couple of years of like League content creation. I want to know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I've thought about this before because I have seen there's been some videos and stuff about this as well, of like, the era of Civ HD, and like, you had like the slam dunk, videos, and like these like fun content. And people didn't care if people were like bad at the game as long as it was funny. But now people will just in the comments say, oh, you suck, this is not, who cares? I think what happened basically is the player base it didn't it's more found its niche of like hardcore gamers and ranked players, and that video served really well because League was a very big mass general casual. I think what's happened is that League is now really solidified as that hardcore game, hardcore community, and that content has gone away or just didn't get the views. The audience basically said we don't care about this anymore because it's actually less gone to the masses, if that makes sense.
Okay.
That's all my whole view of it. So the game's sort of like, I didn't want to say matured because, enjoying content and having fun and watching cool, funny movies is like, that's anyone can do that. I'm sure a person can do that. But I think that just it's sort of like evolved into a very hardcore community.
I
found its niche.
I think there is an element of that, definitely. And to add on to that, I would just say, I think there's just a lack of people wanting to get out there and be vulnerable on YouTube, honestly. Like, I think it's hard to, okay, this is a bit of a tangent, but like, you queue up in solo queue now, right? I mean, obviously we're on the internet and everyone's anonymous, but nowadays with the streamer mode, 3/4 of the people don't even show their account name. Right, you see just you don't even see the rank,
the champion name.
You see the champion name.
Rank,
that's it.
Champion
I know
name,
who the hell I'm versing, but me and Nathan has his full goddamn name here. Everyone knows
my real life
me.
name. Yeah, it's like,
everyone knows who we are, what we look like. We're not hiding on the
Yeah.
riff. People can look us up, like, and I think there is like this. People are scared to be vulnerable, I think, and as a result, like, there's less people going out there just doing cool shows because I think of insecurity, maybe fear of being judged. And I think that is kind of just with it probably a little bit more exacerbated in the League community because it can be so intense. Like Nathan was saying, it's such a hardcore game. So I think there's just less people doing cool shows because of that. I think it's a mentality shift. But back in the day, people didn't give a shit. Like Nathan said, you could look like an idiot and no one
that
cares.
was part of the fun.
It was part of the fun.
Yeah, because everyone sucked in a way. Everyone sucked.
sucked.
It wasn't like
really
no one
understood
knew
game.
about like wave, next wave, like wave control, that sort of stuff.
And so, like, I think that people, like, I honestly think that because that's why you're so successful as well, Eric. You're getting so many views because you're showing your personality, you're being vulnerable, you're showing passion, and people just are scared to do that for some reason in League.
Well, it is scary. Like I said, with some of the more difficult champions, I'll play an extra 5 hours off stream just so I don't make a fool of myself. Like with Gangplank, practicing barrel combos in normal games, just so I don't make a fool of myself. But as other content creators, I just wanted to know what you guys were feeling because I missed those days because I played for 12, maybe more years. Honestly, I'm old, but I missed having that content. And that's another reason why I wanted to start doing this is because I wanted to do something to push more in that direction if I could. And I don't know, as other creators, I wanted to hear your opinion on it all.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed.
It maturing makes sense. Like it just like what you said, it found its niche and it's become a more just competitive landscape, which it makes sense. As the game's gotten better, people have gotten better.
But there is another thing, and one more element though. It's safe to make proven content, right? That's why. So what happened, right? So I remember, like there was like a period in time where like everyone's just doing, even now I would say everyone's making the same content, right? How many people have tried to copy mid-beast content? How many people have tried to copy my guide, our guide style making on content on YouTube? How many people just post like high-low VOD, high-low replays? Like there is a proven kind of replicable type of like content that people like tier list content, people know it's going to get views. And I think a lot of people are afraid of like, oh, if I try something different that no one else has done before and it doesn't get views, then like I've just wasted my time. And so I think that there is an element as a content creator, you feel pressured to make sure every single one of your videos is like, you've got like forward momentum. You probably felt like this. It's like, if I do a video and it doesn't do as well, it's like, I should maybe try and do what worked better before rather than trying to push the boundary and innovate. And so I think that that's the challenge as a content creator. You've kind of got like on one side, there's content, people will watch and people enjoy. And then on the other side, it's like, well, I don't really want to keep doing this forever. I still want to push the boundary. I want to find what the next thing is. And that's the challenge. I think it's just really quite brutal in League specifically. But But yeah, so I think there's that dynamic as well.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Cool.
All right, Eric, Ecore.
that
I
was-
am looking forward to seeing the Reddit post. I don't know when, but saying this YouTuber played every champion in the game for 10 hours, or learned every champion in the game for 10 hours. Like, I don't know, it's like this Reddit thread, it's got like 10,000 upvotes, it's linked to your YouTube channel, whatever, you've completed the challenge after.
So
I don't know
many
if that's
people
going to
ask
take...
me how many more I have left, or when's the Viego
Yeah.
video, and I my plans for the Viego video are absolutely massive. Like, that video is going to take me probably like 2 months to
Wow.
make, if not more. So so people will keep asking me. So I don't know when that Reddit post is going to come out. 10 hours every champion is so much time.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. No, every single champion I'm excited to do, pretty much.
Beautiful. And thank you so much for your time, and hopefully we'll get you back on the show in the future after you finish your challenge.
No, yeah, that would be great. Yeah, and then you'd be like, okay, what's your experience playing every champion in League of Legends? Which one's the best to climb with? I get that question so much. They're like, you played 100 champions. Which one should I climb with? I don't know. What's your play style? What role do you play? What rank are you? There's so many variables. But
100%.
yeah, no, I've been thrilled to be on here. Yeah, I love watching you guys' podcast again when I'm running on the treadmill. It's just fun hearing people talk about League. So now it was fun to talk about League.
Beautiful. Likewise.
Any final shout-outs? Yeah, Igor?
I mean, other than you guys, if anybody's watching an episode for the first time because maybe they saw my name on here, these guys are awesome. If you learn stuff from me, you'll definitely learn stuff from them.
Beautiful.
Appreciate it. We'll have all your links as well in the description below if you guys want to follow Ecore. Check out his. Absolutely recommend people watch his YouTube channel, his videos. They're really, 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 10 hours is a lot of effort's gone into that, right? And, you keep on trucking along. So it's getting better and better. All right, guys. Good work. Keep on improving. 3-block process. We'll see you guys on our next episode.